Hi guys. So I have not done a video like this in a very long time, but I wanted to cover a few things. One, my bookshelf is still a mess. Let's all mind our business and we're gonna go from there. Two, my voice is not 100%, so it may go in and out. I apologize, but I really wanted to talk about this book. So if you would like to hear it, here it go. Here we go. Before we start, subscribe to my channel. Why are you not subscribed yet? Like, what are we doing? You keep coming back for more. You might as well subscribe. Like, get into it, baby. Get into it. Okay, so today we are going to be discussing The Book of Night Women by Marlon James. So last year, what's the other book by him? The Red Wolf and the I don't remember the name of the other book, and I'm not even going to look for it. But last year, that was one of the book picks for Shelby and the Book Club, and people was giving me grief about it because it was very dark. I enjoyed it and do plan to read it again, especially now after reading this. But I want to read, A Brief History of Seven Killings first. But reading that, I kind of had it in my mind that, like, okay, maybe Marlon James is just like a really dark writer, right? Which I don't mind. That's my kind of jam. So no biggie. Then I saw some tweets on, Twitter about someone that have read this, and I have been wanting to read this for a while, and they said the same thing that I said, that he's a very dark writer, it was very violent, so on and so forth. So I was just like, the other book, we're just gonna reference this as Red Wolf. It's something in the Red Wolf or Red Wolf in the whatever. Red Wolf was very dark, very violent, but it was centered in African mythology sort of situation. So I was just like, maybe people are being dramatic, because we can easily read and watch George R.R. Martin talk about incest and rape and all of that kind of stuff, and y'all don't have any complaints about it, solely probably because it's white people. And then someone does it about black people or people in the African diaspora, and all of a sudden it's an issue and blah. So reading that this was also very violent, I was curious, because the main character is a woman versus in Red Wolf the main character was a man. So I'm gonna try not to spoil this for you guys at all, because let me just get this out of the way. I do think that this was a good book, right? Do I have some issues with it? Yes. Do I think that Marlon James is a phenomenal writer? Yes. Do I like reading books that are, slave narratives? Yes. Because I feel like there's a lot that you can learn from them. I still feel like they're needed in some sense. My issue is I feel like when people go looking for African American authors, when they go looking for black authors, they're looking for slave narratives. They're not looking for degular fiction. That's my issue with that. But that's a conversation for a different day. So there is a place for the slave narrative. I don't mind it. Is it heavy reading? Absolutely. But I still feel like there's a lot that you can get across in a slave narrative fiction that may be easier for people to process, because the character is not real. Point blank period. It's the reason that I'm able to read books that are as dark as they are, because the characters are not real. It's based on something that actually happened, but I don't have to face the fact that this is real, right? It's weird as how my mind works. I know it's how other people's mind works. So we meet Lilith, right? It immediately starts out with um her birth and how bloody it was and that whole bit. Lilith was born a slave on a plantation in Jamaica in the 17 or the 1800s. No, she was born in 1785. And basically it kind of talks about even when she was born, like everybody kind of saw something in her. They were kind of afraid of her. So it goes into her life. Again, she was born a slave. Her mother died during childbirth. They don't really talk about who her father is, but I immediately got the vibe that like her father was probably her master or her owner. But we don't learn who her father is until some chapters in. So she's given to a slave named Circe, who is an older woman, and a man named Tantalus. I thought it was kind of cool how there were a lot of Greek names in it. So there's Circe, there's Homer, there's Hippolyta, there's like a bunch of names that are very familiar to people that are really, really into literature, which I thought was cool. I thought that was a very cool thing that Marlon James did. So Circe is older, not that old, but she doesn't have to work in the field. She doesn't do much work really at all, which has given Lilith a more privileged, I'm going to use that loosely, life as a slave. So like she didn't have to work in the field. She was playing with the white children. Like she was kind of able to kind of do what she wanted to, which was giving me the vibe of Lilith didn't really know that she was a slave when she was a kid, so to say. As she got older and she gets her cycle, Circe starts to treat her a little bit differently. And it's telling her, don't call me your mother. Like, I'm not your mother. You call me Circe. You're a woman now. So on and so forth. Tantalus is crazy. He has some mental health issues. So there's stuff going on with him. But he was the nicer of the two to her. He used to read her stories and steal pages from the little picture books. So she knew what a princess was and a prince and that kind of thing. So Circe is mean to her. She keeps talking to her about becoming a woman, and Lilith is aloof, right? Like she knows what it means, but she doesn't know what it means. And it brings up my first issue with the book. Why is a man writing a character from a female's perspective on such intimate things that females go through? Because he will never know what it's like to be catcalled. He will never know what it's like to be catcalled as a woman, I should say. He will never know what it's like to one day be a child and then the next day you have breasts and hips and men are literally looking at you as if you are edible. Like, a man will never understand that. He will never get that from a woman's perspective, right? I'm not negating the different things that men go through, particularly black men. There are plenty of men out there that have been raped and taken advantage of by older women, but a woman cannot write about that experience from a man's perspective. Point blank, period. I cannot personally tell you what it was like to be raped as a young boy, because I am not a boy. I don't understand. So just the way that this character is put together, yes, the writing is phenomenal. The growth of the character also phenomenal. But it's written by a man. So what does he really know? right? And it made me think, is this a nod to his talent, or is there a time and a place for everything, right? Because with the way that this book, you know, oh, he talked about what it was like for a slave to be going through puberty, and now she's a woman, and what that means for a black woman as a slave, right? Okay, cool. But as things get more violent and more violent and more violent, it makes me consider, maybe we need to get Marlon James checked. Because what? Okay, so basically in the first half of the book, what happens is, or the first section of the book, I should say, what happens is Cersei sets Lilith up to be raped by, they weren't overseers, but they were called Johnny Jumpers, I believe. And they were like underneath the overseers and kind of did the overseers' dirty work that they didn't want to do. She sets her up to be raped, right? The guy comes in. Lilith is having this inner dialogue with herself. That is a very powerful part in the book. It really it really highlights the inner, I related to that particular inner dialogue a lot, right? Because I feel like as women, we are often put in a lot of situations where it's like, if I do this, I'm pretty much killing myself. Like, if I do this, I'm doing it to myself, right? So she felt like if I just go over here and let him rape me, like I'm raping myself. Long story short, she ends up killing him, like very, very violently. And again, it goes into like, is this how you feel about women? Like, are we just these violent, not rational thinking creatures that just do whatever at a whim? Kind of like, so like, and when I say she kills him, like chopped his head off, kill him, like he gone girl. So Cersei goes and gets the other women, some of the other women off on the plantation to figure this out. And it was Homer, Gorgon, and I forget who the third was. And they basically cleaned the situation up, right? And now they're hiding Lilith in the big house in the basement because Homer is like the head slave in the big house. So Lilith is very confused. She's tired of being locked up in the big house. She, again, very aloof. And I'm using aloof opposed to stupid because a lot of what, y'all know I like to take notes in my book. A lot of what I wrote in the book was, homegirl is dumb. She is dumb because she has no wherewithal. But I think it brings up the conversation of trying to adapt to your surroundings. Lilith had never really had to think for herself, right? Because Cersei was taking care of her. She didn't have to do any work. And then one day when they did decide to say that she had to do some work, she tried to play sick. And she ends up having to kill somebody to protect herself. So she thinks like, oh, well, I'm a house slave now. Like, I should be able to do more than just clean up the cellar, right? So Homer kind of is trying to guide her and trying to take care of her and kind of say like, yeah, like things ain't what you think they are, basically. And it goes from there. So we find out that Homer and some of these other slaves are her sisters. because they all have the same father, who was an overseer, who no longer works there. Some behind the scenes stuff that's going on is like their original owner dies. The owner's son comes back with his Irish friend, who Irish people were frowned upon back then. And the mistress of the house, she has lost her good wits. So all of that is to be taken into consideration. And there's like this magical aspect to it. So Lilith is stupid, like I said, and she's kind of getting into it with different people on the plantation, because now the Johnny Jumpers want her dead, because they know that she killed the dude that tried to rape her. She thought that somebody put like, I'm going to use the term hoodoo. That's not what's used in the book, but like put roots on her, for lack of better words, and goes to Homer, and Homer does something and Cersei dies, right? Because Homer makes her think that Cersei is the one that tried to put the evil spirits roots or whatever on her. So there was that. And like I said, like Lilith doesn't have any wherewithal, which goes back to my point of, is this how you feel about women, right? Is this how Marlon James thinks that what it's like to be a woman is to be aloof all of your life, and then one day this bad thing happens to you and other women come and take care of you, so you don't have to take care of yourself, and then your life does not get better until more bad things happen to you? Like, is that how he views black women? Because baby, let me tell you something, that is not it. It's not the answer. Do I think black women have a very strong circle of other black women around us? Absolutely, because we need each other. Has it always been that way? Probably. Is it always easy? No, because we're mostly taught to compete with each other. But I really just think, based off of how this character develops, like, that he just does not think, I don't think he likes black women. I don't think he likes black women. And when people say that they read this and it was empowering to them, or like it was good, like I can see the vision, but also I can so strongly see, like, he has created all of these familiar, like, feminine characters that are just so rough around the edges, right? That are just like, I very much compare him to Tyler Perry. I don't think Tyler Perry likes black women, right? And I say this because in every play, every movie, every whatever, even though his main character, Medea, is a black woman, right? But it's his version of a black woman, right? What he experienced as a black woman. And then him depicting it instead of actually hiring, a black woman. But anyway, all of the other women, their life goes to shit for some reason, right? They're going through some sort of trials and tribulations. And then their life doesn't get together until they find some black man to come and save them. What is that about? Why do we need men to save us? Why? Why is that always a narrative? Why? Because he probably does not like black women. As I like to say, when I say that my mama don't respect me, I'll be like, she don't respect me as a person, place, or a business. He don't respect black women as a person, place, or a business. He just, you don't like us. So, like, for all of the things that Lilith goes through in this book, the way that she is abused, the way that she is taken advantage of by other women, by Homer, by Cersei, whatever the case may be, it's leading me to think that he does not like black women. And again, like I said earlier, I really, really, like, how do we feel about the opposite sex writing about the opposite sex? How do we feel about a black man writing about a black woman and her experience? Because you never can really know. And even if he was taking notes from interviews or whatever the case may be, it's just like there's still going to be his point of view sprinkled in there. So basically the rest of the book, Lilith ends up going to another getting sent to another plantation because there was an accident during an event or whatever the case may be. And she spilled soup on a white person, gets her in trouble. She gets whipped for it, like really, really badly, and gets sent to this other plantation where she was whipped and beat mercilessly, just because the mistress there felt like it. And it's changed her, but she ends up killing the family. So the magical aspect of this book is as if like she has this like darkness in her that's forcing her to do all of these sorts of things. And that was kind of interesting. But long story short, it's all leading up to a slave rebellion, and they want her to be a part of it. And she kind of she's like growing as a character. She ends up the Irishman, Robert Quinn, he ends up having her stay in his house like his woman. Very much The Yellow Wife. If you guys have read that book adjacent, like that section of the book very much reminded me of The Yellow Wife, where she had to grapple with her feelings of being a slave but being in love with a white man. Again, things that he will never know what it's like to experience because he's not a black woman. He is not a black woman. He's not even a mixed race man from what I know. So like, what is it exactly that we are talking about? Leads to the slave rebellion. I'm not going to tell y'all the end because I want y'all to read it. And it just, I know that a lot of the authors say that they don't write from a place of experience, but I don't see how you can't. I don't see how your real life views don't come across in your writing. Like, same thing with Stephen King, right? Y'all will read Stephen King till y'all's blue in the face. And he is writing about all kinds of murder and all kinds of stuff. That don't bother y'all? You never sit back and think like it might be bodies in his basement? That don't. Because even when I read Walter Mosley, for example, right? He touches on things that are important subjects, right? Like Devil in a Blue Dress was talking about interracial relationships having to pass as white, right? Like what it's like to be a black person that's passing, that those sort of things. And were people killed? Were there fight scenes? Yes, but it was never like super gruesome to the point where I was just like, he might kill people. I'm reading this book and I'm just like, either he has abused women before, thought about it in great detail, or I don't know what the third is, but I really, 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 I don't think he likes black women. I don't think he likes black women. I don't think he likes black women at all. And I don't know how I feel. So, to round this off so that it's not a super long video, do I recommend you read the book? Yes, because there are a whole, like, I could spend days talking about this book just based off of the different things that the different topics and so on and so forth that are talked about in the book, like things that are mentioned and brought up and all that kind of stuff. But it has put me on a mission to read all of his books, because now I need to know, is he as mentally ill as I think he is? So I am like disregarding most of what I had on my TBR for this month of December, because I'm gonna read the 7 killings of what's the other Marlon James book called? A Brief History of 7 Killings. I'm gonna read that next, because now I need to know. I need to know, because I think he is violent and that he doesn't like black women. So we'll see what happens. If you want more videos like this, if you want more book reviews, let me know in the comments. If you've read this book, let me know what you think. And make sure you share it and subscribe and like and all of those things. And if no one has told you today, I love you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.